When I hear musicians whining about how bad it is on the road, I always tell them, get into real estate, man. Get into computer technology, you know. If you don't like it, don't do it, you know. We're lucky to be able to do this. Lucky. There's so many people who hate their jobs. You shouldn't be doing it if you don't like your job. I love my job, you know. I think there's so few people, like I say, who get to do what they love for a living, that you got to put up with the long drives. You got to put up with the bad food and the uncomfortable bed sometimes, you know. Just part of the deal. I'm sleeping in the same bed that Willie Big Eye Smith slept in, or Eddie Clearwater, you know. They had it a lot tougher than I did, you know. You start to read about what conditions were like in the 20s and 30s for traveling blues musicians. Man, there weren't no hotels for you, you know. If you didn't know somebody in the town or hook up with some gal, you slept in a barn or something sometimes, you know. You slept in an old abandoned car. That's the blues, man, you know. I ain't got to do that, you know. I've had some rough accommodations with holes in the walls and stuff like that, but, you know, still better off than my heroes had. If my heroes could make it, I can make it. I grew up in Detroit and lived there until '62. Then my dad got a job in the aerospace industry, so we moved to California in '62 and lived there till '68, which was a pretty cool time to live in California. And then '68, Vietnam was happening, and I was pretty heavily involved in the anti-war movement. My number came up. I came to Canada. Why you do me wrong? If you didn't do me wrong, I would be singing a sad old song. I was playing for fun, like, you know, in the anti-war movement, it was like, you know, protest songs, Bob Dylan, you know. I'd broken my leg when I was 16 on a skateboard, and I had nothing to do, so I bought a $4 guitar at a swap meet, and had a friend who showed me 3 chords, and off I went. So it was like mostly Bob Dylan kind of songs, and from that I started seeing, you know, names like, you know, Lead Belly or you know, Lion Lemon Jefferson. You know, seeing where he got some of his stuff from kind of led me back to blues. I had 3 years of university. I was married at the time. And when I came up here, I found out that if you took 1 year of teacher's college, you could be a teacher. Amazing. So I went to teacher's college, which was free. And I taught junior high school up here for about a year and a half or so. And then my wife quit me. She went back to California and gave up teaching. Moved to a place called Rochdale College, and I rented a closet in an apartment. I was paying $14 a month rent, and sold everything I had except for my guitar and my clothes, basically, and just played for 8 or 9 months. So people would hear me in the halls, and I ran into Slim. And one day, he came up to me and said, "I got us a job at this fish and chips place." He told him, he said that he knew this hot folk singing duo from Ottawa. He just made up this jive tale, you know. And we went in there, and he played Hank Williams, I played Robert Johnson. It was the weirdest combination. But we played there for a week. The deal was, I think we got $125 and all the fish and chips and beer we could consume. And we were held over for 5 weeks. So suddenly, I was getting paid to play. I couldn't believe it. I was just like flipped out that I was getting away with this. It was wonderful at this time too because, you know, from 69, 70, 71, when I was just really starting to play and develop, Muddy Waters, Howlin' Wolf, Sunnyland Slim, Buddy Guy Jr. Wells, they were all coming through town regularly. And so here was a chance to see like a direct link to the Delta Blues. I mean, when you saw Howlin' Wolf or Muddy Waters, that's the music they listened to, was Robert Johnson, Charlie Patton. And man, it was just amazing to be able to be 5 feet from your idol, you know.
I'm a reefer smoking man. I have been so all of my life. Yeah.
You hear every scratch of their fingernail on the strings and really become acquainted with them. And it's just wonderful how a whole personality or point of view is kind of revealed in a person's playing, you know. It's such a personal music, you know. You have a rather, although the blues is, to me, is so diverse and there's so much of a variety of expression, there's a really limited kind of form, right? And within that limited form, there are so many personalized kinds of expression. You put on Little Walter or John Lee Hooker or Albert King or Muddy Waters, and one or two notes, man, you know who that is. And to develop a sound that's strong, difficult thing to do. There's all kinds of people out there copying licks, and I mean that's what every blues guy does. I mean, for the first 10 or 15 years, you are just soaking it up. You're copying everything around you. That's the way you learn. And then slowly, if there's enough dedication and passion, you develop something. It almost creeps up in you. It's you. It's the way you play those things, right?
Had more than a few, unlike the smoker of weed, who won't go crazy and speed. I would never think of sharing a ride with a person who got liquor inside. Whereas I drive across this land with a reefer in my hand. Not to mention that a party with reefer always be nice and mellow. People sitting around feeling like bowls of jello. That's why I'm a reefer smoking.
Everything I got to say, I can say in the blues. And although I love, you know, certain country music, some great jazz, there's even some rock and roll that I like. The music that really grabs my soul and talks to me is the blues.
For keeping this boy alive. Here comes now. Hey, what? Don't this ever...
One of the highlights of my life was backing up Hubert Sumlin for a week. After the Wolf passed away in the mid-'70s, Hubert was in a band called the Wolf Pack for a while with Eddie Shaw, and then he just kind of dropped out of sight, and a promoter in town got a hold of him and got him to do a week up here at a place called the Pine Tree Tavern, it's kind of a little cool little blues spot, and asked me if I wanted to back him up with my band. Oh man, you know, Hubert Sumlin was my favorite guitarist in the world at that time. Still is. I mean, he's, for electric guitar, he had his own thing. And he came up to the Pine Tree, and man, for 6 nights, I got to back up Hubert Sumlin, and it was, I could have died at the end of that week and my life would have been complete, you know.
When I was a young man, I thought I knew it all. I told some tales, and I told them tall. Now I'm old and gray.
My biggest struggles were, am I good enough to be doing this? Not, hey, this is too tough to do. There were many times when, you know, after, sometimes it would just be, you know, you listen to Robert Johnson or Howlin' Wolf or B.B. King, or, you know, you listen to the record and you say, man, this stuff is so deep, you know, have I got this in me, you know, can I reach down inside and get this stuff out? You know, it's that kind of question, you know, am I good enough to play this kind of music? It ain't, you know, this is too hard to do. because I always consider myself lucky to be able to get away with it. Like, you know, I mean, even now, you know, to look back at 32 years of making my living doing this, I just count my lucky stars. I think I am so fortunate to be able to travel around the world, play the music I love, and make a living. You know, I'm raising a family, I got a daughter, you know. I just feel really, really lucky.
On account of some self-examination of the foolish things I do. Sometimes I think my little daughter is pulling things over on me. And occasionally I order products advertised on late night TV. I forget my link before right. Can't remember to turn out the light. Can't recall when my memory was strong.
Another great jazz guy, I forget it was Charles Mingus or Thelonious Monk, said it took him 20 years to learn when not to play. And that's another, it seems so simple, but I've seen so many players who've been playing a long, long time who still don't get it. They don't know about the quality of air and space in their music and the quality of the drama before you hit a note, you know? And that's a really big element too that separates the greats from the okay guys. The blues means, personally, a way of expressing myself. Personally, it's a way of putting together the world and expressing it in a soulful way, in a humorous way, in a loving way, in every possible way of human expression and communication. You know, expressing my truth. You know, and when people smile or laugh or applaud or come up and tell me that they dig my music, that means that that worked, that that expression was communicated to somebody. It don't get no better than that. You know, that's just, you know, for an artist, you know, you paint a picture and somebody gets moved by it, or you write a song and someone gets moved by it. That says it all, you know. Or somebody, like when Colin James covered my tune, Why'd You Lie? Somebody thinks the song's good enough that they want to do it. Man, it don't get better than that. You know, I read a book by Scott Peck, The Road Less Traveled, and it begins with the words, life is pain. Life is pain. The joyous moments and the moments, you know, that we talked about earlier, those high moments, are moments you have to seize and hold on to and celebrate. And music does it along with all those other things, good things in life, and people have to be aware of them when they come around. You know, so I think that that's the wonderful, strong point about the blues is their optimism in the face of painful life.
Tomorrow, I'm gonna straighten out right away someday.
When you sing a song 5,000, 10,000 times, it becomes a part of you, and you learn what works and what doesn't and what you can do with it. And it's still a very flexible vehicle. You know, you can do it different, a little different every night, but you learn the best way to do it. You know, I remember asking David Wilcox years ago, well, BB does this certain little thing, you know, why does he do this thing? He doesn't really have to do it with his whole hand, he could just do it. And David looked at me and says, well, maybe it just feels good. And that just kind of opened a door to me. And so many guys when I watch now when I watch my own playing, I'm doing so much stuff that kind of looks like I'm doing something, but it's almost percussive. I ain't really doing nothing. I'm just dragging my hand over the strings or something, but it feels good. And I've done it so many times that that's the way I either get off or get on a string. And I find that's the secret to a lot of guys' tone is not actually the note they're playing, because at first you're getting all these licks. It's this note and this note and this note and this note. Well, it ain't so much the notes. 100 guys can play that lick and it'll sound different with every guy. And there are so many places you find between and around the notes after you've been doing it so long that that's what brings your personality into the music.
Well, I let so many good things get away.
But I never had any rock star fantasies. I never dreamt of playing arenas. I mean, now I play 30-seat coffee houses to festivals where there's 5,000 or 6,000 people or so watching me. And I find the blues lives better in little places. Small, little intimate places where I can reach out and touch that first table is where the blues really lives, you know? So to me, if I have a night where I deliver, the venue doesn't matter. It can be Germany, it can be Bow Valley, Alberta, it can be Kentville, Nova Scotia, you know? It doesn't matter. If you got the right number of people, or a combination of people who are there to listen to you and understand what you're doing, and that's the beginning and the end, you know? I go to sleep happy, and I got another day coming up where I can do it again. You know?
I'm gonna get it tomorrow. I'm gonna take myself in hand tomorrow. Tomorrow. You better hush. I said hush. Somebody's calling your name. I said hush. Somebody's calling your name. Crying, oh my Lord, whoa my Lord, y'all, what shall I do? What shall I do? Then you can call on your mother. I said your mother, she can't do you no good. I said call on your father. Father can't do you no good. Crying, oh my Lord, oh my Lord, y'all, what shall I do? What shall I do? I said, hush, somebody's calling your name. I said, hush, somebody's calling your name. Crying, oh my Lord, oh my Lord, 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 what shall I do? What shall I do? Shall I do? What shall I do? What shall I do? What shall I do?
Zydeco music is the music of the Creoles. I said the black and multiracial French-speaking people of Louisiana. And the music, you know, the Creoles have been in Louisiana since the 1600s, the late 1600s. And we've always had our music, you know, the Creole music started out, the earliest form was a style called the Jude, which was songs that was done with no instruments, just using the voice, the clapping of the hands, and the stomping of the feet. And a lot of these songs, well, they were all sung in French, in Creole French. And they used to have these gatherings where they, you know, the old people would talk about that, you know, they'd gather around a fire and start a clapping and a foot stomping, and start like a, you know, like a chant, you know, sounded like a chant. Zydeco sont pas allés, tu m'as fait tout que George de soir, et pas gon avec ça. They'd do that and over, and everybody would sing. Then they'd break it down. Somebody would have a verse like, oh, fedra ton la tabidon, fedra ton la tabidon. Alors, danser, 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 danser. And, you know, you'd pass a little jug of whiskey around, you know, homemade whiskey, and the music started like that, you know, as kind of, you know, real primitive, real tribal. And then the Germans were the ones who brought the accordion to Louisiana. And the style of accordion, the first style of accordion that was used in Creole music was the single roll diatonic accordion, which they made in Germany and Italy. And the first Creole to record with this style of accordion was Duane, who recorded back in the 1920s and 30s. And back then the music was done all acoustically. They would call it la-la, they'd call it French music, they'd call it just Creole music, you know. But the music was done with fiddles back then, with the days of Amadee, and accordion, and a washboard, and a triangle line, and you know, whatever else they could get their hands on. They used to have dances in the house dances. They take all the furniture out the house and people would dance, the kids would play on the furniture outside. I remember going to a house dance when I was real young. So that tradition continued up until like the late 60s. And then it moved to the dance halls, you know. But the music, you know, was started off like that. And then Clifton Chenier came around in the late 30s, early 40s, and started playing the accordion acoustically, started learning the old style, then electric instruments. He started adding electric instruments, and he added a drum set, and he added, you know, bass guitar, and he played a different style of accordion. He played the piano accordion, the chromatic accordion. And Clifton Chenier is pretty much the architect of Zydeco music.
Mr. Terrance Simien and the Zydeco Express!
Merci beaucoup! Alors, Zydeco, cher! Les Zydeco sont pas demandés. Tu m'as fait du regarder le soir? C'est pas qu'on avait ça. Alors, les trois! 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4!
from Clifton Chenier just kept evolving, you know. You had Rockin' Sidney, who had the hit Don't Mess With My Toot Toot. He added things like drum machines to it and stuff like that, you know. He recorded the first version of Toot Toot with a drum machine, you know. And Queen Ida, you know, she had her own style, you know, and Buckwheat Zydeco have his own style still, and Boozoo, of course, had his, you know. So everybody in the Creole music, you know, is you know, pretty much artists that like to, you know, be artists, not afraid to be artists and do their own thing.